In Gotham City's war on crime, the worst offenders to come out of Arkham Asylum are prosecuted by Gotham City's fastest rising attorney, Harvey Dent, via musical numbers, clunky dialogue, and a narrative that makes the runtime of this particular production feel like it's twice as long as it actually is. One could argue that Todd Phillips should be on the stand, but this is Fleck's story. Joker, Folie, Deux is the sequel to 2019 smash hit Joker, made over $1 billion worldwide. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker performance was mostly praised. Other people tend to think that the movie was a little bit pretentious and kind of up its own goddamn ass, but the movie certainly got a lot of people talking. And once the sequel was announced, people were like, okay, a bit weird. It seemed like they could have gone a few different directions, but what are they gonna do with a sequel to Joker? Because it was such a big hit. Well, first, they gotta reunite the writer-director and other writer, Todd Phillips, who did the Hangover trilogy and a bunch of other comedies, and also the 2019 Joker, and Scott Silver. Not the Scott Silver surfer, because all that you know is at an end. And boy, would this movie not goddamn end. He did The Fighter and also Joker, and Joaquin Phoenix is back as Arthur Fleck, who now is in Arkham Asylum. He's not doing all that well, shall we say. He's kind of making nice with a couple of the guards and a couple of the inmates, but he's malnourished, he's on medication, and he's about to stand trial for the crimes that he committed in the previous film. But along comes Lady Gaga, Lady Gaga, Lady Gaga, Lee Quinsnell. Oh boy, geez, we're gonna just get into the goddamn, root of the whole thing here, aren't we? We're just throwing all pretense, subtlety out the goddamn window. We are gonna do it as a musical. Fucking really? I mean, I like musicals, don't get me wrong. When musicals are done right, In the Heights was fucking terrific. When you have the right tone, a musical can actually work. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with this, but this movie didn't work at all. I'm throwing everything out the goddamn window, every bit of salty. I don't care. I fucking hated this movie. I hated every goddamn bit of it. Todd Phillips needs to be charged with war crimes for what he did. How dare you, Todd Phillips? How fucking dare you call yourself a film director? How dare you call yourself a writer? How fucking dare you say that you actually like making movies? How fucking dare you, you dumb son of a bitch? What the fuck was this supposed to be? Lady Gaga, who I'm no fan of, actually can sing. She is barely given anything to do. She has a couple times where she can sort of shout, let it all out, and throw her octaves all about. Come on, Lady Gaga, we're talking to you. Please pick better roles. Please pick better roles. Let's give the people what they want. How about you give them something other than Joker, Folie, Deux? Is that how you say it? I don't fucking goddamn care. And by the way, I'm just going to keep insulting this until the people that actually like this goddamn slop leave. And if you're still here, you're not going to fucking like. Actually, if you liked it, that's fine. Cool. I didn't, and I had no expectations going into this. And I had heard a lot of, negative feedback, but there were people that praised the fact that they tried to go in a different direction. And different directions are good. You have to try different things. The thing is, this movie was totally inconsistent, and it was a slog. It was bad. It didn't know what it wanted to be. It wasted the talent of Brendan Gleeson, who's a terrific fucking actor. He is amazing in some roles. And he's been doing this shit for a long goddamn time. So, you also have Catherine Keener in this. You wasted Catherine Keener, who still looks incredible at age 65, by the way. I mean, she's such a good actress, and really, you're gonna waste her? There are other people that you may recognize in this, but really, this film is all about, obviously, Arthur Fleck, maybe, embracing his Joker side to try and get out of these crimes that he obviously committed. And yes, you have Lee Quinsnell. Yes, Lee Quinsnell. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty goddamn obvious that's where they're going right there. There's really, nothing to spoil there. Lady Gaga as, at the beginning of a Harley Quinn, okay, I can get behind that because she at least looks like she could play the crazy chick. But just, what was this? What was this? What in the world was this supposed to be? It does start, I will say this much. It starts with an animated opening that reminds me of a Max Fleischer cartoon. And I was like, all right, that's a bit of a different way to start it. And then it's like they're trying to set the tone as a comedy. If they had just gone full comedy, full ridiculousness, I wouldn't have loved it, but I wouldn't have despised it as much as I did. And yes, I loathe you. I loathe you. I goddamn loathe you, Todd Phillips. I loathe you, Joker. Folie Deux. I loathe you, Scott Silver, for having anything to do with this goddamn thing. How dare you? How fucking dare you waste $200 million? Yes, 200 goddamn million. I know the first one made just over $1 billion, and it cost about $55 million. Who knows what else with marketing? But even if you just take this budget at its word, that's nearly 4 times the budget for this ugly mess. There were like maybe about 6 halfway decent shots, but everything else was ugly, muted, goddamn ridiculous, not anything that's going to move filmmaking in a positive goddamn direction. And what the world needs now is for Todd Phillips to fuck the hell off and not make another goddamn film. He says he's done with DC. Well, that's fine, because I think I'm done with TP. Except you shouldn't be. You should always wipe. Actually, it's kind of funny that his initials are TP, since this is just full of goddamn shit. But nevertheless, we see people, we see Lee and Arthur in some lavish outfits, and the musical numbers actually would be fine if they were building up to anything. But the thing is, they kind of nerfed Arthur's character, because there was at least a decent build in the first one. It wasn't great, but at least when it was focused on him, it was fine. It showed a man's psychosis and breakdown, all that. And did his mother's treatment make him this way? Were we going, Arthur, I told you to stop bothering the guests? Or was it just the fact that he was always insane and the mother knew that, and the insanity just bled through into his adult life and he can't snap back to reality? They show various musical numbers. There's That's Entertainment. And there are points in this movie where I was actually thinking Todd Phillips is trying to troll us, or Warner Bros. Is trying to troll us, because there's no way they could have looked at this and said, yeah, this will be a raging success. If this makes as much money as the first Joker, I will be surprised. If this ends up breaking even, I won't be surprised, because I think enough people will end up seeing it opening weekend and maybe the second weekend. But I do not see this having the long run of the 2019 film. For this reason: 1, films are going out on digital a lot quicker. And 2, this one is a 100 times worse. My God, again, how dare you, Todd Phillips? So yeah, it just limps along, and we get some courtroom drama stuff, which I would be okay with, but the movie couldn't figure out what it wanted to be. This was 2 hours and 18 minutes, bell to bell. If you stay for the end credits, you don't have to, by the way, a little bit of a spoiler, there's no mid or end credit scene. Nothing. Google it, kids. But the thing about this is yes, you can have it where a man is having a crisis of personality, a split personality, whatever it is, and people want him to be more than he is. I can understand getting behind that, but this Joker narrative, it started off fine, even if, again, the first one was messy to me. This one just felt like, okay, we're not going to make another one, so we're just going to turn people off to the idea of seeing any more Joker origin stories. Yeah, you could argue that we don't need more origin stories, but if they're going to make as much money as the first one did, then they're just going to continue to revamp and everything, and we're going to get a Batman 2 pretty soon with Robert Pattinson returning. But the musical numbers, once again, Lady Gaga, her vocal range, she can sing. Joaquin Phoenix, who did great as Johnny Cash and Walk the Line. My God, that was terrible. When he was trying to sing, and I know he was supposed to be like a socially awkward guy that couldn't actually really have any personality and had to don this makeup to have that. And that would have been a fine narrative if this movie actually had something to say. But it doesn't. It just spews bullshit out at you like a goddamn, recently broken McDonald's ice cream machine. Which is something that they pretty much break all the goddamn time. So, yeah, this movie just ends up being a slop-filled, just bullshit, like burgoose, shall we say. The musical numbers don't pop. And it's like it's afraid to be a musical, but then when it decides to be a musical, you're like, okay, wait, I apologize, go back to the courtroom stuff. Get away from the courtroom stuff. You know what, just end. Stop. Don't do this anymore. What? Any of it. Just end. This thing could have ended. They could have cut a few scenes out and had this thing over in about an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 45 minutes. And at least it would have been over quicker. And I do not know what they were trying to do. And there's no message here. There's no hidden message thing. There's a few ties to the Batman universe, the Batman Joker universe, and that kind of stuff, but not nearly as many as they had in the first Joker, because at least they tried with that one. It's in theaters if you want to check it out. I'm going to get into spoilers, which really is just going to be me talking about this bullshit more. It's terrible. 1, 2, 3, and spoilers. Is that how you count it down? Fuck it, I don't care. So, apologize, by the way, if I sound a little bit rough. The flu sucks. So don't worry, I am totally goddamn good. It just takes a bit to get it all out of your goddamn system. Speaking of something I need to get out of my system, my opinions about this goddamn movie. Again, it starts off with the cartoon stuff, and then we see Arthur, having a bit of a pseudo-friendship with Jackie, played by Brendan Gleeson, who really does try to make the most of his goddamn time. Lee shows up in the asylum, and then we find out more about her stuff as they get together and everything. There's this sex scene, which I mean, granted, it's tastefully done and mostly in the dark, but I was like, oh, great. I did not want to see this. No, please stop. Please stop. Stop. Just stop. Pull away. Please do something else. So, yeah, there's musical numbers. He finds out that doing this musical theater group, not like in Sing Sing, which is a great way to, talk about theater group usage in prison and actually have a positive message. The only thing positive about this is possibly the amount of STDs that the thing will come back with on any test that it receives, because there is no way that this movie isn't infested with all kinds of infections from beginning to goddamn end. So, yeah, it's Harley Quinzel. Yes, Harley Quinn. Just throwing all that out the window. Harvey Dent's in it, as if you didn't guess that from the opening little bit there. And Harvey Dent doesn't even look like nothing against the actor. He doesn't look like he's legally able to drink. How is he a practicing attorney? Whatever, it's fine. But the idea is you hear about Lee. Lee gets released from, the whole thing. It actually turns out that she checked herself out. She voluntarily checked herself in and checked herself out, because she talks about being from a broken home and stuff like that. Actually, her dad's a rich doctor. Not a witch doctor, not whoop, 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 whoop. Not that kind of witch doctor. She comes from a rich family, and she just wanted to meet Joker and everything. So she was lying to him, and then it turns out that Arthur really, he realizes that he needs to be Joker, but he isn't, but he pulls back from it. He pulls back from it because even though he puts on the makeup, when he's, as he gets more back into character, he gets more, back to himself, cracking jokes and stuff like that. Yes, he's in a prison. He can't commit as many crimes. I mean, I get it. But the thing is everything about this movie feels neutered and just, pasteurized and just bleh. And that's really about all that I could say about that. The thing is, you get more, musical numbers. You get That's Entertainment. You get Lady Gaga setting a piano on fire, sing us the song, Mr. Piano Man, We Didn't Start the Fire. And then we go through and we crash into a house because Billy Joel can't drive. And read up on that. Billy Joel tended to have some issues while driving. So, Lee tells Arthur, there's a movement out there. People believe in you and everything. Once you get off of this trial, Catherine Keener is his goddamn, is his attorney. He ends up firing her because she's not doing a very good job in his opinion, even though she's really trying desperately to prove that Joker is a personality disorder and Arthur actually is not a danger. That this is just something where he needs counseling, he needs medication, he needs stuff like that. And there would be a way to kind of delve deeper into that, except the movie doesn't want to do that. It just wants to do more bad musical numbers, but then be ashamed that it's doing bad musical numbers and go back to the court drama that's been done better on the worst episodes of Law & Order, which as long as those shows have run, including Criminal Intent, which kind of was dog shit, yeah, there are a lot of episodes of that. It just ends up dragging. And eventually, Lee, is in there. We get this big build-up. There's like the Sonny and Cher thing. Like, I call it Joker and Cher. I mean, she practically was like dressed like Cher at that point. And there was this thing where he ended up getting shot because she had the gun, like he did to Murray Franklin, Robert De Niro. And so that kind of ties into something a little bit later on. From there, he decides to become his own attorney. Lee believes that he can get off, and don't worry, everybody's behind you. But then as things go on, he ends up interviewing, or, cross-examining the little midget guy that had the last name of Puddles. The same actor, by the way. They had to get him a phone book to sit up there. Whenever he works, they are very short-staffed. I'm sorry, but short people are funny to me. The Randy Newman song, actually, about short people, actually applies to my opinions. I kid, of course. But nevertheless, he, is Joker, but then, Poe's going to hit him. This isn't you. This isn't you. And somewhere in there is Arthur still. Now, Arthur's a disturbed guy, but he's just a guy. He's not somebody that can take on the Joker persona. And there's always been that thing in the comic books and in the narrative and the graphic novels and all that. There's multiple Jokers. You never know Joker's actual identity. Changes over time. And, sometimes there are a couple different ones just to make sure that Batman doesn't know which one he's fighting. It just depends on that. Nevertheless, he ends up doing a closing argument, and he basically confesses all the stuff he did. And one thing he didn't confess to was killing his mother, and he did kill his mother and all that. And Zazie Beetz is there, looking great as always. Sophie, she was the one from before. She said that he was somebody that, he seemed weird, but she talked to the mother seemed nice, but it was all about the mother. The mother thought that he was not worth it. He was a little bit disturbed. Now, some of this could all be in Arthur's head. Some of this is a figment of his imagination. And some could argue that these musical numbers are his way of acting out the fantasies that he still has since he's trapped. But during this, he says he's not Joker. Lee leaves, and she's upset. She won't answer she won't answer her phone. And Arthur wants her to come back for the the verdict and everything. He's found guilty on all counts, and he's laughing. And then there was this one running narrative through the thing where he was getting guys like Ricky or Richie, I forget the name, but he was getting other inmates to say when the Saints go marching in. But there was always this one guy that was played by Connor Story. I had to look that up. And you could tell by looking at him that he actually could play the Joker. And I mean that with respect. He actually looks like he could nail the Joker. He could nail the makeup. He could nail the whole character. If they decided to do a third one, having him play the Joker might not be the worst thing in the world if you surround him with an ensemble cast. But he's talking to him right before Arthur is going to do something, whatever. Because Arthur got beat up before his closing argument and got the passion beaten out of him after Lee wouldn't talk to him. Brendan Gleeson had it because he got insulted during, a particular speech, when he was talking to the midget, that is Arthur. And basically, he runs into Lee. Lee says, we're not going to go anywhere or whatever. You said you're not a Joker. There's no Joker, so you're just a man. You're not what I need. You're not what we need. And then he ends up talking to Connor Story, who's just known as young inmate on the goddamn credits. And he ends up basically just telling him a joke, clown, and a psychopath at the bar, and says about, oh, how about you get what you deserve or whatever. And he stabs him multiple times, and then he dies. And that goes back to the thing where Lady Gaga had shot him on the Joker and Cher set. And yeah, Arthur Fleck dies. That's it. Whatever. I mean, I don't really give a shit because guess what? We're not going to have to worry about watching this again. If this is not in my top 5 for worst of the year, then it is a tough year because this was really, really a big slog and the musical numbers didn't pop. It gets an F. It is terrible. A waste of Lady Gaga's vocal talents. A waste of Joaquin Phoenix's acting talents. A major waste of Brendan Gleeson. How dare you waste Catherine Keener? It's disappointing. It's very disappointing. Because I had no expectations, so there was only anywhere to go but up, at least I thought, until it sunk down into the Earth's core. So, yeah, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.